Hey, what's up? Ian here, and today I'd like to talk about this EPZ TP20. It is a dongle, DAC, and headphone amplifier, and the retail price for this is 47 US dollars. So if you guys are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. But before I touch on this, I would like to quickly go through this EPZ K1 earphones, which in my previous video I think there was some buzzing sound in my audio, so yeah, so just want to quickly go through the specs of this and what I think of this earphones. Basically it is a 1DD plus 1BA IEM, and to me overall it sounds bright. Okay, the sound stage is average, technicalities are fine, it's good for the price. And overall the bass, in terms of the bass, is not a bass heavy IEM. It's actually quite rolled off. The mids are quite forward and clear thanks to the bass. Bass is not overwhelming, and for the treble, it trebles bright, and is for some it might be a little bit too bright, a little bit too harsh, but to me they're fine, and it's got very good clarity from the treble as well. They sound good on female vocals, so yeah, if you like to listen to mids and listen to female vocals, these sounds really good. And the balance armature is actually doing a great job, giving a lot of details out, and especially the higher end frequencies, they sound really clean and clear. Not much distortion when I listen to these earphones, and the roll off is pretty natural. So yeah, so the focus here is not a bass heavy IEM. At the same time, the mids are a little bit recessed with the emphasis on the treble. So this is actually, yeah, pretty suitable for genres like classical, female vocals, jazz, and a bit of a pop. Yeah, but yeah, other than that, it's not really suitable for those bass heavy genre like techno, trance. I mean, you still can listen to them, but they won't sound as engaging as some other IEMs, right? So the reason why I'm talking about this is because I used these earphones to test all my DAC and amplifiers, and I have a few other dongle DACs here to compare. But first I would like to talk about this one, right, which is the TP20. Now the retail price for this, as I mentioned, is 47 US dollars, and if you guys are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. So in this video I'm just going to go through the specifications of this, the build quality, and how it sounds. Okay, and I'll compare it with some other dongles that I have right here. Right, so let's first start off with the specifications. The single-ended, because there are two outputs here. One is single-ended, one is a balanced output. So for the single-ended output, the output power is 125 milliwatts at 32 ohms, and it can decode up to PCM 32-bit 384 kilohertz and DSD 256. And the distortion ratio is 0.0018%. The frequency range for this is 20 to 40,000 hertz, and the signal to noise ratio is 125 dB, and the dynamic range is 125 dB, and the output impedance is 32 ohms. Now as for the balance output, it's at 155 milliwatts at 32 ohms, and it can decode up to 32 bits, 384 kilohertz as well, 256 DSD, and the distortion ratio is a little bit lower, it's at 0.0008%. So yeah, it's got less distortion on the balance output. I think the rest is the same except for the signal to noise ratio, which is at 130 dB, and the dynamic range is 130 dB as well, and that's about it. So this is quite a block, right? So it's not, doesn't feel cheap in my hands. It's got net weight of like 56 grams, and the size of it is about 5.5 centimeters, 2.4 centimeters, and 1.2 centimeters, right? So yeah, the build quality is really good. Feels very solid and firm as well. So on the side here, you do get a play and pause button, the volume up and volume down. Over here is the USB-C connection. You can connect other types of cables like USB-C to Lightning. So if you have an iPhone, you might want to use this cable, but this cable doesn't come with this dongle. Okay, and then you have over here is the gain, right? So you have your high gain and your low gain, all right? So it depends on what earphones or headphones you use. So if you are using headphones, you might want to switch to high gain. So if you're using earphones, just go for low gain, right? And this is the single-ended, and this is the balance output. Okay, so that's for the overall build and quality of this. It feels good, right? And this whole thing is like made of metal, a solid block of metal. Right, so let's talk about sound now. Basically, in terms of the overall sound stage on this, it's actually quite intimate. It's not a big sound stage, and overall detail retrieval is very good. All right, and the resolution for this is also not bad. It's good. It's not as resolving as some. In fact, one, which I'll highlight later. But yeah, the resolution on this is not bad, and the overall performance in terms of the sound is actually pretty warm, right, and musical. So this is one of the most musical dongle DAC that I've heard, other than these two here, which I'll compare with later. Okay, and yeah, so this is actually a pretty warm and fun and musical dongle DAC. And if you like something that is musical, this is actually a very good dongle DAC to go for. I've not tried the TP30, but the TP30 is just maybe a little bit more powerful than this one. But yeah, I wished I had that one, but that one is gold. But yeah, this is what they sent me anyway. So for the overall sound signature, it's actually pretty good in the bass, right? The bass is actually pretty powerful, in fact emphasized, and also the treble as well. So it's something like a V-shaped type of sound delivery from this dongle DAC, and the treble is pretty engaging, very bright, and the bass as well, very thumpy, very powerful, and very present, and it's very firm as well. And together with the overall resolution of the dongle DAC, it's very good. Sounds very musical. Okay, so that's my overall impression of this TP20. Nothing fantastic that I can explain about, but it basically gives me a very musical experience when I'm using this. Now let's compare this with some other dongle DACs which I have right here. Now comparing with this Apple dongle, the resolution is terrible. The overall sound stage is, well, quite narrow. It's in fact almost similar to the TP20, but TP20 maybe is a bit wider. It's got better sound separation than the Apple dongle. In terms of the resolution, it's much better. Sound separation for the TP20 is much better as well, and the imaging and everything else. I mean, the Apple dongle, they sound muddy, muffled. Overall resolution is quite low, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, Apple dongle, yeah, not even close to the TP20. Now next is the Truth Ear Shield. Now this too is quite comparable. Okay, and the TP20 actually sounds warmer and sounds a bit more musical than the Shield. Shield sounds musical as well, and it's got nice warm sound. In terms of soundstage, the Shield has got a little bit wider soundstage, but in terms of the details, the TP20 has got more detail retrieval as compared to the Shield. And overall bass has got more powerful bass as the compared to the Shield. And overall, yeah, it sounds brighter as well, so pretty bright for this. Now let's compare to the FC6. This is the high B FC6, and in terms of warmth and musical, I think high B, this is the king. All right, so basically in terms of warmth, this is very warm and very musical as well. So yeah, this definitely is a step lower than the FC6, but you know, the price compared, this is much more expensive as well. And one thing about the FC6 is only single-ended. There's no balance output, right? The TP20 has got a balance output, and well, the FC6 does have Darwin, so this TP20 doesn't have, right? So that's that. I mean, in terms of musical, this is still better, okay? And then the M15, right? So this is the Quest style M15. Now M15 is a analytical type of sound. There's not much bass on this, not much emphasis on the treble as well, but this has got a very wide soundstage, and in terms of the details is very detailed. So if you want something more analytical, something more critical listening, then it's the M15. The TP20 sounds, it's got more bass, it's got a smaller soundstage as compared to the M15, but it's got more fun, right? More of a musical sound as compared to the M15. M15 sounds boring to some, but to some, those, especially for those who likes to, you know, listen to your songs in a critical, technical manner, then the M15 is very much suitable for those people. But you know, in terms of musical, more fun, more of a casual listen, and you really want to enjoy your music, then the TP20 is the one to go for. In terms of price, you know, the FC6 is pretty pricey. Well, I would say, you know, the Show is quite comparable as to the TP20, but you know, TP20 has got more bass and it sounds brighter than the Show. Okay, so that's my overall comparison with the rest. I would say for $47 US, this is actually a very good buy, and yeah, a very good little dongle DAC headphone amplifier. It pushes most of my earphones and my headphone as well, not all, but yeah, some of my headphones can be pushed, especially my hi-fi ones. Well, not the Edition XS, that couldn't be pushed. I couldn't push it to the max, but in terms of my earphones, it pushed most of my earphones out to the max, and I could feel the full sound coming out from my earphones. So this is actually a pretty capable amplifier as well, and also a DAC, a very good sounding DAC, right? So that's my overall sound impression and conclusion for this EPZ TP20. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Right, so I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.